more or less, but I mean, we're putting on two.
You see how easy that is to say, though? Just say it. That's a big problem. How would you correct that?
That's simple.
So how would you correct that?
Well, the issue is whether or not we should continue along that path and continue to do that. That particular path has had a number of problems over the years, and really there has been a very modest amount of money that ever found its way into the coffers of the Lake County Republican Party from that effort. I mean, you know, we're talking over the last decade, nearly $1 million raised, and of that, you know, some tens of thousands that, you know, ended up with the party. So I would want to review that and see if we couldn't try to do more as a party.
You got it, Dan?
And bring that under control.
What solution do you see to a situation where we're raising $100 grand and basically spending $100 grand to raise it?
Well, that's not exactly accurate. And the other thing, first of all, it's a different organization. It isn't a central committee doing it. It's the Federation.
I understand that, yeah.
The Federation, they probably raise about $170,000, but they probably spend $70,000 a year raising it. The $100,000 a year goes to operate the office, which is our headquarters. So the question is, do we want to tell the Federation to go away? Which they might do if we asked them to do that, because their goal is to support our party, and then have the central committee raise the money, find a way to keep an office open and an office staff. It's very hard to keep an office open with volunteers. You need to have paid staff to do that, and paid staff have to be paid. So it is costly. And luckily, I guess the good side for our standpoint is the central committee isn't burdened with paying the electric bill, the gas bill, the copier bill, paying for the overhead. So it is a benefit to us. Could it be run more efficient? Probably. But, I mean, you're automatically assuming that we'd be more efficient than them. We're a volunteer organization with no paid staff. So I guess they're taking on raising the money, they're taking on paying the bills. Until we have a better system, I think it's working.
You have any question, Don, for Dan on that?
Actually, I don't think it's working as well as it could be, and the proof of that is the fact that there have been systemic or structural problems that have caused significant conflicts between that organization and the statutory Lake County Republican Party, which is the official Republican Party. We've had problems where the executive director of that organization essentially became the de facto voice of the Republican Party in this county, and was commenting to the press on policy issues and on election issues in a fashion that really confused the minds of the public and the voters about who it was that ran our party. And that was a very unproductive enterprise, and one that has recently been at least temporarily corrected. But you have to understand the Lake County Republican Central Committee has no control over this other organization, and yet they are intimately intertwined in a way that is at best confusing. Now, I don't suggest that organization does not provide a useful service to the voters in Lake County. I think they do.
Okay.
It's sort of a management issue that needs to be ironed out.
The Republican Federation is the fundraising arm. It's based on the North Shore for the most part, and generally viewed as rather moderate. So you get an idea what some of these words mean as they're being thrown around. But they're the ones raising the money that we're talking about, and they've had leaders, and there's been clashes with other groups vis-a-vis some moderate conservative situation. So when you hear that name, that's what it means. Okay. Does anyone in the audience have any questions they would like to ask?
Where does that money go that is raised you're talking about? You say 100,000 is used for overhead?
The Federation? Yeah, can I address that?
Oh, yeah.
They have two dinners, a spring and a fall dinner. Generally, total receipts for the year are about $175,000. But they have it at the Marriott. They're generally pretty high-end events. And the events end up costing for the 2 dinners probably about $75,000. I'm talking rough numbers. So that's actually just the cost of the dinners, the invitations, bottles of wine at the table, those type of things. And I'm calling those the fundraising events. They net about $100,000.
Where does that go?
That actually is the operating budget for the Federation, and they pay the executive director, the rent, the utilities, and if they have extra money, they've given it to us in the past. But keep in mind, too, this isn't just a fungible money. If you look at their larger contributors, they're members of the Federation board. I mean, you got Barry McLean, McLean Fogg, you got Sandy Stewart, Conway Farms. These guys are giving $20,000 and $30,000 to keep this thing going. So it isn't like saying you're going to go tell them to shut your doors and they're just going to give the checks to us. That's not realistic.
I just want a clarification, Dan. The Republican Federation, is that a standalone, completely separate from the Central Committee?
It is, yes.
So it's a
It was set up in the 60s with the.
So they can pretty much do whatever they would like to do.
Absolutely, yes. They could continue to run and lock the doors and kick us out.
Republicans are pretty bad at internet stuff. Do you have a plan, Dan Venturi, to do something about that?
Yeah, actually, we had training just last month. We've had
Are
training.
you on Facebook as an example?
I am on Facebook.
Are you?
I am. Send me a thing and you can be my friend. We have had training. As we said, it was a pretty low turnout, but we invited everybody. You can make the resources available. You can't force them to come. We had a great one over in Wauconda 2 years ago, I think. And we had a huge turnout there. And I think this summer we'll have another one. This was kind of combination literature distribution and training. And this summer we'll have another one. The state party is always willing to come out and provide resources for us for that training.
Don, when you were discussing Facebook, you mentioned two numbers. You said 5,000 and then 500,000. Which one?
I have 5,000 Facebook friends, well, 4,950 or so right now.
What's the 500,000?
If I push 100 articles out in a day, and that's not unreasonable, at times I've done more than that, essentially that has the potential, to make 500,000 impressions in one day. I mean, it's a very powerful tool when you use it to its full capacity, and I use it very effectively. I went to a breakfast this morning, and about 25 people came up to me and said, "I know you from Facebook." And it's a networking tool, and it does work. I mean, it really allows you to gain a lot of familiarity with other people, and to share ideas, to share information, to share articles, to share pictures, to build a community, if you will. And that's what we've been doing, is building a conservative political community that is principally Republican. So it's a useful tool. It's not a be-all and end-all by any means. It's just one of the tools that's available. You mentioned an internet strategy. We had, when I first came on 4 years ago, we had some discussions about putting together our own website. We hired a consultant, and he built a website, and we started to maintain it. And before long, that just sort of died on the vine, and the state party took over as the host for our website. We have a very bland, generic county party website that's hosted by the state. I was surprised. I went there and clicked on the link to contribute, and it went to the Illinois Republican Party contribution engine, and was going to allow me to contribute money to the Illinois Republican Party. Now, to my knowledge, not a penny of that has ever come back to our county party. So, I would, as someone who's very familiar with websites, someone who maintains them and has built many of them, I built one for our township party, for example, and it's been very successful. Has a lot of resources on it that the voters can use.
Thanks,
that
now.
are,
We got that one understood.